Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Team Infinity podcast. I bet everybody didn't think we'd have another one out this quick, but guess what? We said we're getting back on a schedule, and we are. So we got the two grinders with us, Matt and Hayden. Thanks for joining us again. And the special guest of the day is Devin, because he had by far the best. There you go. He had by far the best performance at Milwaukee, so we had to have him on, our lone day two competitor. So Devin, thanks for coming too.
Anytime.
So yeah, today's going to be another little bit of a hybrid episode. We want to talk about Milwaukee, obviously, because that's hot off the press. But we're obviously 9 days away now from when this is being recorded to Whispers in the Well. So obviously a lot of stuff behind the scenes going on there, and we want to give you some of our initial thoughts on how we think that's going to shape up. We're going to do a fun ink pair tier list. So it's been a while since we've done a tier list, and so figured that'd be a good way to kick off the set. So. Devin, why don't you kick us off and talk to us about Milwaukee and kind of your overall thoughts and just, a little bit of your run since you did so well.
Yeah. So for my run, I kind of, I always end up picking blue steel anyway. I wish I could say there was some great formula for why it was my choice other than because I just keep playing it. But I actually do think it was reasonably, like a reasonable choice going in. Clearly there's a few others that thought the same. I think there were some decks like Dogs and Purple Steel that I kind of perceived as being around that could be a good matchup for me. But I started out 0-1, kind of felt bad. Then I played Dogs in round 2 against Ghosty, which that was a good matchup for me. And then from there, that was just kind of, I don't know if that was a big confidence builder, but I kind of just built off that and ended the day one at 6-2. So had a pretty good spread of different matchups. So blue steel felt real. That ran really well for me, and I was fortunate enough to make day 2.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I think that was the vast majority of our goals after the other three of us on here went to Bologna and had a very subpar showing there. The goal very much quickly turned into, let's just make day 2 and go from there. And so having somebody to root on to do that was definitely fun. I know, for those of you who don't know, Devin's pretty active in the blue steel side of things on socials, but so like you said, that kind of wasn't an option of like what you were going to take. But what, we were kind of talking on, Friday, getting like the last tweaks of everything ready. What were like the biggest, I guess, strengths that the deck had that people might not necessarily have seen that, was just really good in like these final stretch days of the Fabled meta?
In my opinion, I think one of the things that kind of gave it a pretty decent spot in the meta was being able to ramp on 2 while also having some disruption options to either stop like a more aggressive slanted list from just kind of running away with the game in the first few turns, like Captain Hook and Mulan, Fire the Cannons type cards, while also just being able to scale into having just bomb after bomb after bomb past turns 4 and 5.
Sure.
Vincenzo and Hades and Tinkerbells and all those things just kind of stack and make it. You kind of ask a lot of decks that don't know how to play against blue steel to try and find an answer to your board every game.
Yeah.
So it felt like a good pick in that regard.
I thought, that's a better answer than I thought. I thought for sure you'd say Key to Lady Clug. But
that is another good one, but that's only for, I guess it's good against a lot of things, but Key to Lady Cluck was definitely one of the biggest tools I had into the weekend.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's all fair. And then I'll kind of kick it over to Matt with a fun little story before we get to it. And I'm sure he knows what I'm going to say, but so the three of us left Bologna. We said we are never picking up Blurple again. We're going to burn our cards. We're done with the deck. We got to find something else to play because it's just not a fun mirror match. There are too many variables that you can't control to help you, be successful in it. With a more aggressive meta in the States, comparatively to what we played in Bologna or what we expected, that also makes it a little bit more of a risk. And I will say I took Blurple. Matt, how did your run go and what did you take?
I went 3-3 and I cowered out and I went back on my word too. And I also played Blurple.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, I don't really like that deck. It feels like everyone in the room is trying to beat Blurple,
yeah,
and most decks do that really well. Um, it
yeah.
was a really bad pick, I think. I mean, the deck is really good, but it's like you, I don't know. It's weird if you don't see ramp on 2 or like at a mulligan 7. Like you lose a lot of your pre-game like the mulligan is like such a powerful mechanic in this game, and you just lose that.
Yep.
Like 1 out of 5 games, or like 1 out of 2 games.
Yep. Yeah, that's it wasn't until after the tournament that Mo said this to me, but Mo said to me, I'm pretty sure it was in the airport. He was like, yeah, it's just really unfortunate because you basically have to have ramp on 2. Like there's no other game plan if you don't have ramp on 2. And so you're almost forced into mulling 7 every time. And I can definitely say for certainty, there were a couple games where I had a Basil, a Genie, and Elsa, good inkable cards, and I was missing ramp. And I'm like, ship it all because that's what you have to do. And then you end up with like ramp and a pretty subpar rest of the hand. And so then you're kind of fighting an uphill battle the rest of the way, trying to get like back to those, good curve cards that you had pre-mulligan. And so,
Yeah, it's a ramp plus you need a 4-drop, and then you need the Elsa. And then if you don't do that, if you miss the 4-drop and the Elsa, then your wheels kind of just fall off, and the deck feels really, really weak.
yep. Yep,
Yeah.
and so I took it as well. I practiced the 2 weeks leading up to Milwaukee after Bologna. Basically everything, you name it, I was putting time into it. I did a lot of time on dogs. I did a lot of time on purple steel, and I just never felt comfortable enough to be able to get to that same level of comfort I had with purple. And so I just ran it back, and I don't want to say I regret it necessarily, but I do wish I had some level of expertise, if you will, into another deck because I think it would have been a better call. It had a good day 2 conversion, but it's like top 32 conversion was awful. And even though it made it to the finals, it's like, after the top 32, its conversion, like every round past that just like fell off a cliff. And so, to your point, like basically everything else that was, having any, form of success was, had its sight set on Blurple, and, it very much showed in how it performed once it got to, some of those higher ranking matchups.
Yeah, I will say I don't regret taking the deck. I tried to find something like really off meta. I think you did too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's just not anything besides like the 5 decks that are being played right now.
Yep, just not enough, interaction cards, and so you either have to just like kind of do your own thing and get to 20 fast, or have a insanely lucky. Not lucky is not the right word, but an insanely good Blurple run, or purple steel. I think obviously shout out Frank Carson, you did a great job, obviously, with a very off the wall purple steel deck as we would expect from him. Yeah, it's just it is what it is, and again, given the comfort levels on everything, I think it was the right choice for me too. But I guess I wish it wasn't the right choice for me too. So, Hayden unfortunately couldn't join us in Milwaukee because of time off and work, and we all have lives outside of this. But how much did you get to see? How much did you watch? What were your overall thoughts? From the stream side of things.
I didn't really get to watch much, but it looked good to me. I think the tournament played out like about as I expected. Those Blurple and Purple Steel seemed like the 2 good choices. Dogs also seemed like a good choice, and it did pretty well. I think the amount of players that we know the names of that are good players that do well consistently, doing well was a good thing for the event, especially because we didn't think it was that great of a format. But I guess after give us enough time and people will figure it out. I think that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. It's that was one thing I think that was very different compared to Bologna as well, is and maybe it's just because there are a lot of people from the European side of things that we don't know, but it would seem very much like the people that we did know, and there was a good chunk. I mean, there was a very strong showing in the States, and a very strong showing from like the top end of the Europe players as well, and like none of them that we knew, but comparatively to the top 32 of people in Milwaukee, there was a lot of people we knew, and there were a lot of people in the top 64 too. So to your point, it does seem like they figured out at least how to play in the meta to the best of their abilities. I guess we should shout out Kane. Kane, relatively local to us, another Arkansas native. He did make top 32 day 2. I did see he was the only blue green that made top 32, so that's pretty impressive as well. And so yeah, shout out Kane. He made top 32, got his Nats invite, which is what we're all vying for these days. And then the other notable storyline of the event is he was the first person in the top cut to get taken down by the little 10-year-old prodigy that got a golden Mickey. So I think that's just an incredible story. Like, that was by far my highlight of the event too. I'll just end my story with that is Devin didn't make top cut as we said, and so by that time, like, our team's journeys with the event had ended. But about by that point, there was a lot of rumblings going on of a 10-year-old that had made top cut and that was doing extremely well. And so by that time, I was like super locked in on how he was doing. And wrapping that back into Kane's story, he was unfortunately the first one in top cut that got like I said, that got taken down by it. And so it was just really cool to see, because then after that, he, had a couple more matches and got matched into DKP and took down DKP in the Golden Mickey game. And so it was just, it was awesome to see. And so, just curious, Devin and Matt, what you guys, your guys' side of those experience on there, because to me, that was the highlight of the trip for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch. There were so many people around at those tables.
Yeah.
And chanting his name and all the clap, it was super cool to watch. Very, very cool stuff.
I think it was a highlight too. I mean, I was pretty doom and gloom, and then that happened, and like, I don't know, it just felt like there's a lot of like spirit and a lot of camaraderie. What's that word? Camaraderie. Yeah, there we go. Words are hard.
I feel like too that there was a lot of that, but also like, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, maybe I'm not, but everybody was trying to get interviews with him, and everybody was trying to like get some clips and stuff for, like, I know Liam from the Illuminatiers interviewed him, and I think his parents, and I'm just really hoping that this is kind of like one of those stepping stone points for like the younger audience of us to really be able to like give a boost to get more kids out, to get more people back into the game, to get more people interested in the game, because I think it is a really fun game, and there are a lot of opportunities to, to get new kids in there. And so this would be, definitely one of those chances where I think we can hopefully get that. So yeah. But yeah, okay, that's all I have. Any other final Milwaukee thoughts before we move on to good old talk about Whispers in the Well?
No.
Maybe the prize bowl. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous to get tickets, and people are like gaming the system.
Yeah, I mean, I would give. So I guess we didn't. Talk about the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, I would say, so comparatively to Bologna, the event ran very smoothly. It was far from perfect, for sure. I think we, still had a couple rounds that were, very over on the time limit. There was, 20, 30, 40 minutes after the round ended. I think a lot of that is going to happen at big events like this, because I know round 2 was because of a judge call. I know after round, 10 or 11 on day 2, there was another like massively long judge call that delayed things. And so it's always going to happen, but the software itself seemed to be pretty stable. It ran relatively well, all of that sort of thing. But the prize wall, it just doesn't feel like, Devin got 10,000 tickets. I'll let you talk about that one, Devin, but 10,000 tickets seems like it should be a really big victory for, the competitors that were able to make it, because it was like 273 out of the 2,000 that made it. So again, like 10%, that seems like it is a really big accomplishment, but from a reward perspective, it seems like it should be a big accomplishment. It definitely didn't feel that way at the end of the day.
Yeah, I unfortunately I didn't sign up for any side events in advance. I kind of thought there was I guess this is on me, But I thought there was going to be a little bit more of on-demand events, like there was last season. After I got knocked out of day 2, it was really only Pack Rush and these kind of weird constructed 8-man pods that you could sponsor yourself and kind of do things to get tickets. But yeah, after the 10,000 tickets, in order to get anything really of big substance, other like one promo card, like the mat,
like the Simba mat,
I mean, I had to practically double what I got to get to 18,000 tickets. So fortunately with the entry tickets, and then Matt was able to help me kind of grind some tickets on the Pack Rush, and then Cody pitched in some tickets to help me get to the mat. But man, it really felt tough. I don't know how the average person would be able to get those, and even then I don't know how many people who participated in day 2 would be able to get to those higher values. I know there are some other ways to get tickets for like the signed up events, but kind of if you're in day 2, there's not a lot of options directly after day 2 to continue gaining tickets.
Yeah,
I'd
and
like to see that changed.
I believe all those like bigger events, like the drafts and the court, some of these court constructed and infinity format tournaments, day 2, they were sold like weeks ago,
weeks ahead of time. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I don't know. I think it was one of the people that I played against in the Infinity event told me that it was announced in like the Pastime Discord. Like, I don't know what it is with these people and their love of communication through these hidden Discord servers, but I guess that's where it was. And I was lucky enough to like get a ticket overnight that got returned, assumingly from a day 2 competitor. But yeah, that was the communication around that was kind of interesting as well. But yeah, so Devin got 18,000 tickets for the mat. How much were the uncut sheets? Like 100,000?
I think they, depending on rarity, they range from like 75,000 to like, I think it was over 100,000.
I think the top one was like, I think it was like 80, 100, and 120, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or something like that. But anyways,
it was 75, 100, and 125 for common, uncommon, and rares.
I can't imagine what it would take. Like, we'd have to have, I mean, there was like our entire team, and then there was a bunch of like local friends that were there as well. Like, we would have had to have had like 18 people grinding side events all day long to even like imagine trying to get one of those. And then it's like, how do you like split that then? Because it's one thing that 20 people worked towards, and I don't even know the value of it, to be honest, because some of the uncut sheets we saw were very strange ones, like Smash, a mob song, and one of the like Maui's Palace of Exile, all steel, all very undesirable cards. So yeah, it was those was a little strange too. But I think in general,
how many tickets did they get for making Top Cut?
10,000. For like top 32.
Yeah,
I don't think they got any more, did they?
No. Yeah, I don't think they got any more. It was 10K for making day 2, and that's it.
So I would imagine if we did the math, it's like mathematically impossible to get enough tickets without buying them or trading for them from someone.
Yeah, right? I mean, you have to just like run 8-person pods all day long, winning them nonstop.
How many tickets do you even get from those? 1,000, maybe?
Well, you could technically at one point sponsor a pod for I think it was like $200, and then you did get like over 10,000 tickets. But I don't think that was the intended usage of of the system.
Yeah, I mean, the winner would get what if it was like 10,000 for the whole pod. The winner would probably get what, like 7 or 8 of that.
I don't know. I think it was like 6,000. I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, you'd have to have 10 people win. What, 10 pods? That's 6. Like 5 people win 10 pods. I mean, something crazy like that. I mean, it's just.
But how would you even do it as one person?
Like, you can't. That's the point we're trying to make, is that that you're unobtainable prizes, and so it just doesn't feel good knowing that you day 2'd, you did extremely well competitively, and you get a prize that doesn't really amount to anything besides a couple of the Elsa pins and a promo.
Some mats or some packs maybe.
Yeah, and a couple packs if you like have anything left over.
Yeah, I will say I noticed that from Bologna also. The prize wall is very disappointing. Like, I don't know, we can't get some T-shirts and some bags like with some
Hayden.
Oh,
The jumbo cards. Guess how much they were?
I completely forgot this.
50,000.
20.
Dang.
More than the mats. More than the mats.
Yeah.
What?
I'm glad I got the promo type.
That
lady,
size?
The lady. I got the lower quality one in Bologna, and they were just like, "Oh, we're just gonna get rid of these because they're not up to our standards." But yeah, I got the giant one from Bologna.
Yeah.
But
I remember
the new one is like
carry it out in the rain.
Yeah. The new ones are like thicker cardboard and they're like a little bit better quality, but
20,000 though, more than a playmat.
Bologna was 160, I believe. It was like how much you got for entering the tournament.
Yeah,
that one was the first thing that I noticed, and I was like just dying hysterically.
I thought it was 2,000 when I first looked at it,
Same.
and I took a second glance. I'm like,
Same.
Who's gonna buy that?
Okay, I did think of one more thing. So this is actually the last thought. There is one controversy. I don't want to like doom and gloom everything, but I think they do. Obviously, I would hope that they're very on top of this. But Den made a very public post on them removing alternate arts and enchanteds from his deck because they were, quote, marked. And I know that's like a term of like, oh, they were cheating. He wasn't cheating. It was just they could apparently pick out the enchanteds from the deck because they foiling and, pringling and whatever. And so they took out, he had 24 of them in there, I think, and they took out like 10 of them so they wouldn't get clumped together and be obvious that like what was where or whatever. I just feel like that sets an extremely bad precedent of the collectability of the game, because if you're under scrutiny for using alternate arts or foils or the more expensive collectible versions of these cards, then that very much disincentivizes people to purchase multiple copies, and even then, collect them if you're a player too, because you're just going to be playing the normal versions anyways. And so that was the one thing that I think was a little unfortunate. I don't, again, he didn't get a game loss. He didn't get any, penalties from said action. They just literally like proxied his deck because they didn't want it to be, obvious that like what was coming up on the top of the deck. But anyways, there's, a lot of conversations around the new promo Elsas, a lot of conversations around the enchanteds. I just hope that this doesn't become a more ongoing thing, because I think all of us here are very big enchanted people. And I know Devin and I specifically really like playing our enchanteds, and I don't really want that to change.
Well, have you guys noticed anything about this set's enchanteds in your? Because I know, Zach, you have all of them also.
The enchanteds, no. I will say the Elsas were pringled a little bit when I sleeved them. I mean, you're probably not supposed to do this, but I literally, was like just kind of bending it back into place before I like sleeved it. And I do have mine inner and outer sleeved. And so I don't know if that helps any either, but, I didn't really have any problems with mine. I didn't have anybody that had any problems with them. I actually had an opponent say, how did you get yours to lay flat like that? Because I didn't want to, raise the alarms like everybody on socials was talking about. And so I think, some of the hubbub and, the social circles did definitely steer people away from playing them. But I even got a compliment for how good mine looked. So I think, I was lucky. But I don't really do anything aside from, double sleeve them.
I don't know. That's definitely concerning. It could have just been a one-off situation with him, and he's such a high-profile player that it got noticed. And
it was like everybody that was playing enchanteds, like a lot of people.
Oh, really?
It happened to a couple people. He's just he obviously just made it public because he's everybody follows him.
Yeah, I will say from my experience, I essentially had all foils or enchanteds in mine. And all the foils that I do use are from the new foiling, since they've been doing that with 8 and 9. So I don't know if maybe all using those might, if they're all like that, how could you pick out a few,
Sure.
type stuff. But I'm gonna hope for the best and just go with double sleeving those going forward and just keep on rocking it. Hopefully nothing bad comes of it.
Yeah. That's kind of where I am. And again, I'm just, I'm trying to be very like optimistic about it. I hope that this is something that can be, I guess remedied in the future somehow, but I just don't want it to, be a black spot on the more collectible cards, because that would definitely hurt the values of everything going forward. But
yeah.
Anyways,
that is extremely disappointing. I will say, if you spent thousands of dollars on these enchanted playsets and you don't get and you go to one DLC and you don't get to play with them, that's definitely concerning.
Yep. I think that was the main thought too. Again, hopefully that, I sometimes they do a good job of communicating things to us. Sometimes they don't. I hope this is one that they will say something about, because again, Den mentioned it on his socials, and he has, one of the biggest, if not the biggest followings in the community for very good reasons. And so I would hope again that they at least like bring up what happened and why it happened, and, how it's going to look going forward or whatever. But anyways, yeah, that's the last thing. But overall, it was a fun weekend. Go ahead.
I just wanted to bring up a couple positives so we don't end on a negative.
Love it.
It was cool that we had the artists there. We had a couple of artists
Sure. Yeah.
to do signings. That was excellent. That was I don't know how many DLCs they've done that at, but that was definitely a nice addition. All the judges were great. Everybody that I interacted with was great, and everybody was just friendly overall. I thought it was like a mostly positive experience. For the record, despite the prize wall.
I would agree with that too. I would agree with that too.
Yeah.
I
had a blast.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just, we had an incredible group. I mean, the I don't remember how many it was us that, it was the three of us for sure, and then Cody and a couple others that were walking around with us all weekend and, seeing friends and everything. But yeah, just the group and the being able to hang out with everybody was just, definitely one of the better spots. But very fun weekend. If you haven't been to a DLC, highly recommend it. It is a great time. Okay. With that being said, though, let's switch over to this bad boy. And we're going, like I said, when we started, we're going to do a tier list for our initial thoughts on the color pairings for the upcoming Whispers in the Well set. Now that we've had a little bit of time to, kind of talk through all the cards have been released. We've done a little bit of, theory, deck building, starting to get some testing under our belts. We forgot to mention at the beginning again, shout out Sharp Gaming. We have a 10K coming up when the time this goes live, probably this weekend, on release weekend. So November 8th will be, the first massive tournament of the set. So super excited for that. So yeah, we're all trying to get some practice in to be ready to hopefully do some good things in that tournament. Since it's right in our backyard, well, we've had a lot of good representation there in the past, and we want to defend our home turf. So, but yeah, any particular order we want to go in, or anywhere anybody want to start? Or are we just going to go through the list as these are ordered?
Well, I want to say something first. I think these like release day tournaments are so exciting and so much fun.
Yeah.
Except for the part where it's hard to get product.
Sure.
But other than that, I think they're so exciting, and they allow other players who their skill sets are in different areas that like they don't necessarily transfer as well at the end of the format, but they do in the beginning of the format, because their skills are like deck building and coming up with something new, and not necessarily like knowing the ins and outs and the interactions of everything. And so I think it's cool. I just like to see how formats develop, and the beginning of the formats are always so exciting. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really well said, and that is one of the exciting things, because if you are a good deck builder, to your point, and you're not just like the ultimate line player, mulligan, whatever it is, then you just have the opportunity to really come out there and shine. So I couldn't have said it better. But yeah, I guess let's just start with the first one here. Blue Steel. Devin, I guess I'll kick it over to you, since that's your wheelhouse. Where do you think we have Blue Steel ending up here for Whispers?
I think we're we're probably missing the tier it should go in. It needs to be an H for horses.
Okay.
I have to have an H.
We were all in a conversation. We were all having a call before this, and they were actually testing Blue Steel and a couple different things. And yeah, horses was the theme of the deck for sure.
Oh, I think off initially, the Blue Steel deck seems very powerful. It has a lot of new additions, and I think there's multiple different ways we could build it. Like the way Matthew has it built right now is strong, I think, but there's I can think of like 3 or 4 different ways I would want to try it,
Sure.
and they all seem like they would work pretty well. I think it's just the shell of that blue shell and Steel having just such good individual cards why that deck's gonna probably never fall out of like tier 2 for a while.
So is that
Tier
is
two.
that where you say it should be tier 2? You don't.
Oh my
Is
god.
that here? Let's just go.
I was just making a general statement that I think
Okay.
like for the rest of like rotation, while we have Sail and we have Tipo and we have Hades, like I don't think Blue Steel is ever like gonna be.
It's not gonna fall below tier 2.
Yeah, I
I
don't
see what
think
you're
it's
saying.
gonna fall below
Yeah.
tier 2.
Okay. Well, somebody throw out a grade here. Where are we going?
I think
S, A,
tier 2.
B, C, or D?
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd put it in A, to be honest. I mean,
Okay.
I think I'm biased.
I think I think that's very fair. I think initially that's where it is too. I mean, it seems really strong into a lot of other good options. I think, kind of like you talked about on your Milwaukee run. There's a lot of good early options still. It has a lot of early disruption. Strength is insanely good. The new Zeus card is going to be very strong, I think, as well.
Thunderbolt.
Pearl.
Thunderbolt, not as strong as then along came Zeus, obviously, and it's shocking how important that extra damage does seem to be at times. But nonetheless, I think having just more interaction and removal in general is going to be really strong, and it takes out Genie, which that's insane. So
Yeah.
I think I will say that I think the deck has shown flashes and to make me say that we could potentially like put it in this S tier because I think it has been one of all the because we tried a lot of colors already, which obviously the decks might not be good, they might be good, but I think it's shown enough. It does enough good things, powerful things that it could be up in that S tier range. I just conservatively, I don't think we can make that decision yet. I think it's definitely right in A tier though.
Yeah. I formally request that nobody ever put Blue Steel back in S tier because we know what happens when Blue Steel's in S tier.
well, you're
get
just
banned.
afraid that they're just going to ban hammer everything again, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think I would say 1.5 if we were doing by points, but I think A is fine.
Yeah.
I will say it's at the top of A tier for me right now for sure.
Okay. That works. I can't argue with that by any means. Okay, starting off with another seemingly strong one. For us, some similar reasons. You have the blue ramp cards in Bleen or blue green. You have the ramp cards. We didn't talk about the new Cinderella in Blue Steel. New Cinderella seems pretty good. That's going to be a core ramp card. But then we also have the Prince Philip combo, which, God, I know it's MMS. I can never remember what the MMS stands for.
Is it
Malicious, mean, and scary.
I always forget the middle one, and you figure mean would be the easy one to remember. Malicious, mean, and scary puts a damage counter on everything, and then Prince Philip 9 cost shifts in and banishes everything with a damage counter on it. So that obviously is very strong. We have a pseudo board wipe back in the game. I think that's healthy. I'm personally a fan of that, but yeah, what do we think Bleen is going to kind of end up here initially?
I think it's gonna be behind Blue Steel. My gut.
Okay. What do you think its weaknesses are? Because I think you just throw in a ramp combo to a big board wipe body that quests for 3 and is evasive. Seems really strong on paper, but what's the downside?
It's the same weaknesses. It's the same weaknesses. It got a better. It does. I think it does what it did better. Like it board wipes better and more consistently now, but it still loses when it doesn't draw Clarabelle and
Sure
doesn't. Yeah, I just don't think it has enough draw. Besides outside Clarabelle, and then you have to play the Donald, and
What about Cinderella though? That gives, I mean, again, it's not like it's pseudo draw because you don't go positive cards, but you do have another option to play that one, it helps you ramp, so you don't even necessarily have to shift Clarabelle. But is that enough? I mean, I'm posing the question. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying how much does that help the overall draw needs of the deck?
I think it does help it. It just, I don't know. It depends on how many uninkables they're going to have to play, which I think it's going to not be very many. Not as many as they had to in the past, for sure. So that might help it. It's just weird when I think about the lines. Like, you're playing this Cinderella on turn 3 and not your 3-drop Clarabelle. So, and you have to play the Cinderella because it is a 4-cost uninkable. So you have no options. And I don't know. I think it has a place in the deck. Probably not a more than 3, though. Probably 2 or 3 of maybe.
I agree with everything you said. I've played probably, I mean, it's not a lot. I've played, just a few games, probably 3 or 4, trying to get a feel for it. And you're right, it can get very tricky on those, like, after ramp turns on, am I trying to stick my Clarabelle so that I can, do the shift line and, kind of accelerate? Or am I trying to, get a lot of resources so that, when I do get the combo, I have all the pieces, once I get all the pieces to the combo, I have the ink to do it. It can get a little tricky there for sure.
I also think there's going to be a ton of Pete's and Ursulas ripping that Malice card out of your hand.
Yeah. And Mowgli.
But yeah, I will say, nothing specifically about any of these decks, but I think he is very, very right that we are very much back into a Pete Ursula world. We took a little 3-month break. They went on a little hiatus, and I think we'll be very much back in full force.
Back in full vengeance. Yeah, they're going to be in every deck that can play them. I
agree. Okay, who's going to be the speaker for Mo here and talk about Amber Amethyst and where we think this one will end up?
I don't even know how you would make that deck right now.
That's why I said somebody needs to speak for Mo.
I was building one online right before we got and started doing the podcast when we were in the call before. I was building one, and I thought it seems very interesting because I think in the beginning of the format, if everyone's playing Prince Philip combo because that's the best thing that you can be doing, and we all decide that, I think Library initially seems like a good way to counter that deck, because so far how it plays out is they can wipe your board pretty consistently, but it's about they still have to try to win the game after that, because they're usually they're at 0 lore or less than 5 lore, and so they use that Prince Philip to like get them the game. And if they haven't resolved a Clarabelle and drawn 5 cards, they still have to do things to win the game. So I think if you can set up a library and move 3 or 4 characters in it, and so that when they do blow up your board, you're drawing 4 cards, it doesn't matter as much. So I think potentially a Prince Philip deck that gets to play the library could be interesting.
I think as it stands now, I think B's fair. Like, to your point, I think it has the tools. I mean, you've got Dumbos, you've got your evasives, you've got, all the draw that you get from Amethyst. You've got a lot of the shenanigans that you got for green. I mean, we definitely saw some green-purple flashes in different forms this set. All of that core is obviously still there. But yeah, I think to your point, if everybody else is doing the bigger stuff faster, and the, Steel seems very strong with the new Thunderbolt song, as we said earlier. So I think it has to go a step below, but I think it has the potential to be really strong for sure.
I think we might just put it below this tier right now, honestly.
We saying C?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just because of the limited success it saw this last set and the lack of,
I think, that's not
great things I think it does right now. I mean, I don't see a great reason to put it there.
I can't argue with that. So that's fair. Okay. Any objections?
No, I think I agree with that. I don't know if the Amethyst Chromacon deck gets better. I don't think it does, but it might.
I mean, I don't know either. That's a good point. If you can just draw a bunch of cards, maybe you'll always have the combo. But
there's also like ramp options now in green, like with Hey, the Webley or whatever.
Weeby Vanderquack, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how good that deck's gonna be.
So undecided, could be really good, but I think there's still a lot to be desired for sure. Okay, another one of the more interesting ones that I'm curious about is Emerald Steel, Green Steel. I think there's a lot to do here too. We talked about Ursula and Pete, we talked about the steel removal, we talked about the Prince Philip combo, and guess what? This one has them all. So on paper, it seems really interesting, but again, I think this can go in a bunch of ways. Speaking of the Prince Philip combo, if there's going to ever be a locations deck, where you have a lot of location spam, I feel like this is going to be the color combo, and that could be very strong these days because again, Prince Philip isn't going to hit the locations, and so they're don't have a good way to catch up from all of that. So I don't know where this one is. I think on paper it's really interesting, but yeah, I'm curious what everybody else thinks.
My gut would be B or like the bottom of A.
We'll make it a little even here. We'll start with B, and if anybody else has any good arguments one way or the other, we can move it.
What do you think, Devin?
I honestly don't even know. I did see some cool green steel lists at the end of Fabled format that seemed interesting and had some strong results, like with the kind of the aggro style pirates lists. Those are kind of interesting. I don't know if they can carry any success into the Whispers format. Obviously getting more removal songs makes it powerful, and green is a powerful color as well with its disruption. I don't know if I could say I would put it up there with blue steel or green blue.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Got some podcast fans apparently.
We were almost to dogs.
Oh my god, we were so close to dogs.
That's the best joke ever. They couldn't have waited another minute to finish the thought there, huh?
No, good. Okay,
I think B is a solid place to put it here because it did have that success last format and it was with different styles. And I think the color combination has some of the best cards just individually that can win games. Like you mentioned a lot, but you didn't even mention Doc or Go-Go.
Yeah.
And
Go-Go is going to be insane this format.
Yeah, so I think it has a lot of potential, and I'm interested to see where it's going to go. I think it's probably B tier right now to start.
I think that's fair. Speaking of dogs, it's the dog time. So I think this one has to completely retool. I think there's enough disruption now where you can't just, throw on 5 or 6 characters and have enough, to play a couple tramps out to find the cards you need for whatever it is that you're trying to do and kind of quest out from there. But I think there still are a lot of opportunities. Tramp's an incredible, filter engine. There are a lot of powerful things you can do with the Amber Singers. So I think there's potential there, but I think it'll be a completely different deck type to be successful. I'll start with Matt on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I tried making this deck, and my mind's kind of split in so many ways of how to make this deck. I think it's very powerful. I think all the pieces are there. It's just trying to arrange them in a way that makes the deck cohesive and does the unfair thing. Either if it's Circle of Life, Prince Philip into the Menace, Mean and Scary card.
Malice, Mean and Scary.
Malice.
Yeah. I'm gonna get it right too. I'm saying that for myself to remember because I gotta start learning it.
Malicious, Mean and Scary.
Malicious, oh god, I got it wrong too.
I was about to say that, but I didn't want to say it.
You gotta correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not sure. I haven't played with that card very much, so.
Yeah, I think I really don't know where to put it. Because I don't know if doing the under the sea stuff is going to be good.
Yeah, I can't decide on that one either.
My gut is it's going to be okay, but it can't be your only board wipe, I don't think.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a one of in the deck still.
I don't know where I would put it though on the tier list.
Devin, where would you put it?
I mean, I honestly, I don't think I've seen much of an Amber Emerald list this set, but I mean, like, I don't even know if he's going to be crazy good, but I keep on thinking about Mowgli. I think Mowgli's disruption into, maybe something like Webby could be, like that could, those are some cool new cards that they're getting. It's just going to be different. It's not, like you said, they're going to have to
Very
retool a little
different.
bit. I wish we almost had one more tier.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I
I
think
think I'd put it.
I feel like we can do that real quick. Can I not? Am I, because I'm in presentation mode? Add row
It-
above.
It would make me feel better about where we've put them so far, actually.
So we going like that? Is that right? Is that what we're going with?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
would move
minus?
green steel up then.
Yeah, I'd move Green Steel up, and I'd move.
Oh my gosh, we're off the rails here.
I think that looks better to me.
Okay.
I know that seems weird, but I think that looks better.
That's fine. I'm okay with it. So Blurple, we're Blurple's still a deck. I don't feel like any of us have talked about it because I think we actually have like erased it from our memory and are not even considering it and want to move on from these bad decisions that I made last week. But it was incredibly strong last format. There's, it's not just going to fall off a cliff. I imagine it'll still be pretty good at the very least. How good? I have no idea. Does anybody else have any strong opinions on where we think Blurple's going to end up?
Yeah, I think it got better, but I think other decks have gotten better, like more better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's still going to be a pretty strong deck. I think the looming threat of a board clear now with the Prince Philip combo really makes Blurple feel a lot worse because you can't just stack a bunch of evasives and Dumbo draw and just do your own thing.
No way to disrupt the combo either.
No way to disrupt it. Yeah, so
That's not true. Demona.
Well, you can prevent it, but like if they have 9 ink with a 3-drop character on board,
like you can
but you don't let
tap
them
it.
have it. Yeah, you can tap the board and wipe their board.
Oh yeah, but I mean sometimes you can't clear everything. But yeah, Demona, it's good, but it doesn't it's not a silver bullet necessarily.
I think it's yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I think your point of like, my point of stopping, meaning like preemptively stop in the sense of like, I'm going to really take those cards out of your hand. I'm going to rip it with Ursula. I'm going to stop you from being able to do it this turn with Pete. Whatever that looks like, it just keeps you from being able to do it. And that's, a little more permanent than I think that Demona taking you off of it by helping clear some board presence. But anyways, I'm shocked you said it was better. I think to your point with the board wipes, I think Blurple has to go more mid-range. I don't think he can play the control game anymore. I think we've proven that blue-green is very much a better control deck, especially with the new combo. So if it has to get faster, it has to get more mid-rangey. I think you have to kind of retool it. I don't know if Demona is that like core package that does that for you, but I think that's a good place to start for sure.
I think there is a world where it could go down the control route, though. It could play like more copies of the book, the 2-cost item that on play doesn't do anything, but you can pay 1 and draw 2 cards, banish it and draw 2 cards.
Sure.
I think that card is potentially that with like that in a Tamatoa deck where it tries to play where it doesn't matter if the Prince Philip board wipes me because I'm gonna have a full hand and manage the game that way and then just deal with their Prince Philip afterwards because the deck can still do that. It could still just play Hades and deal with it, and then your green deck now has to find a way to draw cards. Sure. So I think maybe there's a way that it can still do stuff like that and find success that way.
Okay. So we saying it's good, but not as, didn't take a step up as much as these other decks. So Are we in A minus? We still clumping all these together, or B tier is a little
I don't
empty?
think you can put it in A minus or B tier. I think
No, it has to be.
it has to be
A,
knocked
right?
down first. Yeah, it has to
Oh
be A.
man.
Like the bottom
Okay.
of A, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's an argument it could still be S tier. Like, I don't know. This Prince Philip stuff doesn't. It's very good, but it doesn't seem like like you said, like a silver bullet for Blurple. I think it can adapt to have so many great cards, and I think it can adapt.
I think it does actually like really affect the deck and how it needs to be played, though.
Yeah, no, it might look completely different now, but I think it could, if these decks that are being played now make aggro less played and these smaller decks less played that are all Blurples that are targeted to be Blurple, it might find success because of that. But it probably
Fair
isn't
point.
the best deck.
Fair
Well,
point.
I think we almost would want it to be an aggro format in Blurple because now we have that new action spooky sight. Like,
Yeah.
that card just like you could just like ramp and play that, and you'd probably win most of those aggro games.
That's what I'm worried about and that's what we kind of need to talk about a little bit, I think, is because aggro is going to kind of set the pace of how everything shakes out. Like,
Sure.
if these decks can consistently beat those aggro decks, then it kind of changes everything, because then it shifts to less to a mid-range to more of like a control style format where everyone's playing control-y type things.
Okay, well here we'll go off script here. I know Amber Steel is the last on the list, but that's obviously been the aggro pace setter here for a while. So, where do we think Amber Steel is going to end up?
What do you think, Devin?
I mean, I was gonna say honestly, just slightly shifting back to Blurple, I can still very easily see it being an S tier deck. Like, it still has the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree.
Like, I think if anything, it's just kind of, I can see it above Blue Steel for sure.
Oh, okay. That's
I
a lot
can't
coming from you.
But I mean, like, I'm not saying I get to put Blurple where you guys can. We can put it somewhere in between. I just
No, I mean, I
don't
agree
know.
with you. I think it's
a
like
little more proven.
It is the best deck. I mean, it has been. Well, I don't mean it is the best deck right now necessarily, but like over the course of Fabled, like it's going to be remembered for being the Blurple format. You know, I know Purple still might be the best deck in hindsight because of all these other like variables, but like it was the Blurple format, right? Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think before we knock it down, it needs to be like proven. Like,
Okay.
I need to
that's-
see more.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Well, I will say this set, I feel like, is gonna change the most amount of decks of any set we have ever had.
Yeah.
Because like our card pool is so small, and like all these cards are like almost better than what we currently have.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, it is very difficult to evaluate these decks without having like a lot of testing in this.
Well, sure. That's why that's why we're trying to not go like into the nitty gritty here, because we're just having fun, just
it's tough
seeing where we are. Okay, so Amber Steel, Devin.
Okay,
you cooked me with Amber Steel all Fabled set. So,
dude, I think Amber Steel is still an A tier deck too. I think that might be one of the most improved decks.
Really, what do you think is its biggest improve? Like what card / option that it has now is its biggest improvement?
I think getting Hurl is pretty big if there's to be like a songs type resurgence.
That's what I was
which I
about
could
to
definitely
ask you.
see.
Is this aggro Amber Steel mainly you're thinking about, or is it shifting to like a more mid range deck?
I guess in my head, I'm probably thinking of more of a mid range deck.
That's where I'm at too.
And I think I've seen enough pieces to where it can be cool. I think Rapunzel is a cool tool going forward. I don't know if it ends up being like an archetype, but it's obviously a powerful effect. Mowgli, giving disruption to kind of mess with these combo oriented decks.
Sure.
Kind of brings it back a little bit too.
Sure.
But I think it still probably should be an A. I just think it's got enough cool tools going forward to make it a more improved list.
I definitely think it goes more mid-range. You didn't mention my favorite card of the Amber set, which is the Whisper Aerial. That when it's boosted and you sing a song, it draws a card. I think that just gives you a lot of synergies with what this color combo has historically tried to do. You got another really powerful song on top of that, which enables you to continue to fuel that engine. Again, is it as strong as you need it to be a mid-range deck to fight with some of these more control decks? I don't know, because you have to really out resource them, and there isn't a ton of draw, but it is very enticing, I will say.
I will say it does seem like it's almost a whole new deck, right? Like that we're talking about.
Probably.
I mean, this deck isn't probably playing Tiana. It's probably playing the 6-cost Goliath, and it's probably trying to get to about 6 ink, I would imagine, and that's probably where it probably caps. But getting to play 8 docks seems good.
Yeah, I think Thunderbolts kills Tiana. I think just more interaction in general will hurt Tiana. I think also there are just plenty of meta characters now that have strength that don't really care about her debuff. So that also is not good for her. Yeah, so we'll leave that one A. I think that's pretty fair.
I would put it A- until we see more of it. Just because I'm thinking if we're looking at it mainly as the aggro deck isn't as good and it's mainly this new mid-range stuff, I don't think that's as proven enough to be with those 3 decks above it, because those 3 are all blue decks that are proven and they do something really strong every time.
There's definitely a pattern forming. You're right about that.
Look, exactly.
Okay. Purple Steel, the DLC winner as of a couple days ago.
S. I think it's S too.
Yeah, I was gonna be fight hard for that one if I had to. This just has the one argument I think you could have against it is all of the draw power that it had was all conditional. Not all conditional, but for the most part it was Yzma had to live for a turn, Dumbo had to live for a turn, and or have a lot of evasives on the board. It made it difficult to be, at least for me, again, I was not an expert. Clearly Frank Karsten knows what he's doing and is much more of an expert, to be consistent with it, because you had to be very patient with your resources. I've tested a lot of this one, and I can say you can just throw stuff on the board and you're going to have enough draw with Demona and Yzma and Genie. There's just it's every turn you can just play something that draws a card, and at some point your opponent's not going to be able to answer it, and then you're going to be able to draw a bunch, and then you're going to turbo and you're going to win the game. It has access to all the purple draw, all the steel removal. It seems very
all
tough
kinds
to beat.
of different little fun toys to play with, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you're building a purple steel deck, it just gets exciting because you're like, whoa, I have all this fun stuff to play with.
Yeah, it has the most cards that you can play in a deck. I think there's so many good cards in these colors.
Yep, I can't argue with any of that either. I mean, I feel like everybody just kind of universally agreed. Devin, do you agree on that one too?
No, for sure. I'd slap it in S tier for sure. It's going to be gross.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say I'm pretty sure I said this in our team chat this morning. It's very boring to play. I feel like you just play a good card every turn and just turn stuff sideways and make them trade into you because all the bodies are so big. But sometimes boring just wins you a lot of matches, and that's what this seems to be like. It's a lot.
I think if. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I think that if this is the precedent for our format, it's going to be interesting. If Purple Steel is actually the best deck, those mirror matches would be really fun now, I think, with Thunderbolt, the 4-cost action that does 4 damage, or the 4-cost song that does 4 damage. I think that means it's not just the person who drew strength wins, I mean, it will be a little bit of that still when you strength them and then Thunderbolt them, but
we're all back on Pete's now. It's not just that you have to have the action. You have to, you can Pete and delay it. And are you the second person to play Pete? So that, you're the other person gets to do it first, or you get to do it first. I mean, or, how does that work out? So I think it will definitely be interesting, but I do think just on paper, this has, as you all said, just basically every tool you could possibly want. Okay. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward, simple one. Demona equals good.
Goliath, I think, is
Goliath,
almost
too.
more important for that deck.
Interesting. I haven't seen a Goliath purple steel deck yet. So
Well, yeah, maybe it's not, but like it just seems like the top end of like, okay, 6 ink seems reasonable for that deck to get to, right?
sure.
And if that's your top end and it's just, every turn dock, like filling your hand up, I don't know, and disrupting your opponent's ability to like keep cards in their hand, it's like, what more do you want? I feel like that's like almost a custom. It seems custom to me.
I've been topping out with Demona just so that you can tap stuff too, and like ready, because the idea with is if you just have all these big bodies and Calhouns and stuff, you can just swing the board back, get a bunch of lore doing it, and then go from there. But yeah, maybe Goliath's a good option too.
I think they're both good for the same reason. They both are big bodies that on play draw you 2 or 3 cards.
Sure. Okay. Is Ruby Amethyst? Not Ruby Amethyst. Is Ruby Sapphire gonna make a comeback, or does Ravensburger still hate Ruby?
I think Ruby's is not very good right now. I think it has some interesting cards. There are cards that are like really, really good. Like was it Bronx? Is that the
6/4 3 cost?
6/4
With Reckless.
with Reckless? That card is like really strong. Hayden has been a couple games.
It has been overperforming. I don't think
card is nuts.
It goes 2 for 1, like, or 1 for 1 with a 6-drop, like every time. Like it's so
pretty good. It's pretty good. So are we saying better than Emerald Amethyst, or are we saying worse than Emerald Amethyst?
Well, I will say we haven't got to test it that much yet. I just started playing it today, but in that match that I've just played, it felt very good. And I thought it was underrated a little bit last format. There was so many low to the ground decks that it had to like have answers for, that it pushed it out of the format. But now if we do shift to a more control style format, it could find a way in, I think. Cinderella, I think, is a big boost to that deck.
So you're saying B?
I'm thinking B right now.
Okay, I will make sure that Mo is aware that you put his baby that far down and put Ruby Sapphire above it.
I feel like I would swap the two, to be honest. I just don't think the deck has enough draw.
He's a blue-red player now anyway, Zach.
I mean, that's kind of fair. That's kind of fair.
I mean, it can go down. It's definitely
let's do it like that. I think that's probably fair. I think we've had way more success. Just based off of the other criteria we've had way more success with Emerald Amethyst than Ruby Sapphire. So
yeah. I'm also wondering, like, you could play like Demona and You're Welcome in this deck, and that seems pretty strong to me.
Sure, because then they don't get to draw any when you do it. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, not a ton to say about that one. I think there's potential. I think, it ultimately does come down to draw. I think there are a lot of interesting Ruby cards. I think Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, with you having access to another tier of ramp with Cinderella now, does become much more unlocked, which is very interesting. So,
and the 6-cost action that banishes, or it doesn't banish, it puts all 3 costs or less into the Inkwell face down of both sides.
Spooky Sight.
Yeah.
I call it Spooky Season. Sorry to cut you off. I call it Spooky Season. So if anybody continues listening, I very much call that one Spooky Season. We're talking about Spooky Sight.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know if it's actually going to be played, but if there is like low to the ground decks, it seems like a good way to have answers to those, and you can get rid of it pretty easily now that you have Cinderella.
Sure.
So, I think it has potential. I think it does have a lot of potential.
Okay. We're an hour in here, so we're getting there. So I'm just gonna throw Ruby Steel and Christmas into D tier here, unless anybody has a massive objection.
I think Ruby Steel is a little bit higher than that.
Ruby Steel has been good, I think, so far.
You got to put some respect on it.
So we're gonna throw it in C tier then? Or we're not throwing it higher than that, right?
Yeah,
I would put it in B.
Whoa!
He has like hurled like.
We're gonna get laughed out of the community on this one.
Okay, I'm saying it's like the middle of the pack deck. Like,
okay,
it's pretty strong. I mean, like a hurl lightning bolt or thunderbolt or whatever, and then you like half shark and Has a lot of good options.
You have Goliath and Doc and all the removal you could want, and you have so like you can even against the other steel decks, you get to sing strength before them. So like say I'm playing purple steel, right, and they go first and they play their 3 cost that they're planning to sing their strength with. Well, I've already just played my power line singer 4 on 2, so now I get a strength your 3 cost on my 3rd turn, and then
Sure.
now you have to play another singer, and then on my next turn I can thunderbolt your 4 cost before you, and you don't get to play your songs because I'm just ahead
And
of
then
you.
you're out of cards, and you hope
And
you
then I
draw
play
in.
Doc or Goliath. What do the other steel decks do? They do the exact same thing.
I kind of hope I kind of hope you're right, but I'm not gonna back you up on this one just yet.
Well, I mean, that B tier isn't that crazy. I mean, I just think it's like,
That's fair. I mean, it's still a step below all these other ones. So I mean, I guess that's fair. But
yeah. I mean, I guess if you want to be conservative, we could put it in C tier, but I think it has potential.
is condiments good old Ruby Amber? Is it still terrible? Can we just throw this one in D then?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we'll throw that one in D and shorten that one off. But okay, we have our Ruby Amethyst aficionados with us. So where are we thinking this one's going?
Solid C.
Oh, what?
I just think the it not having a board wipe and it can get board wipe. It's just really hard to play the deck right now.
So I think it's very much the reason it doesn't seem very good right now is because I think at the beginning of the format, what you want to do when you're deck building, is you want to do something proactive. Like you don't want to be focused on like what your opponents are doing. It's like, what am I doing that's proactive, that's getting me cards, that's like advancing the game state. And I don't think red purple does that very well. It's very much a reactive deck. And so I think until the format's more defined, it will be hard to like decide how good that deck actually is. I think it has a lot of new, interesting, fun tools to play with. That 2-cost item that draws 2 cards when you banish it for 1 ink, it can make the deck interesting. I think the deck has library, so there is still a world where it could go wide and beat the Prince Philip decks that way. But it seems incomplete a little bit when we play it. It seems like it's almost being pulled in like 2 different directions, or we don't know exactly what the win condition is. It's more about like how are we beating our opponent and not like how are we winning the game. So
yeah.
It's hard. What do you think about it, Devin? Like on the outside, not playing it, looking in.
Man, that's a good question. I honestly didn't see much of it last set out of what you guys were testing with. Going forward, I mean, it's hard to say that a deck that has access to Demona is going to be completely terrible, but at the same time, like, how are we getting there? What are we doing until then? Like, what good stuff are we gonna do? And I just don't know if there's a good answer. So
yeah,
I think C is probably a pretty solid spot for it. I just don't know what all that deck's going to be up to.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think that it's like core identity that has had the most success with recently is like moving damage around. And I feel like moving damage around doesn't mean a whole lot these days with these massive bodies that they've printed for this set. Your 2 costs all have 3 health now.
You're in a Prince Philip meta.
Yeah, your 3 costs all. I mean, that's a really solid point. You don't want to be leaving damage on anything so you can move it around.
Yeah, they don't even have to play the song. They just
get it for free. Okay, Devin, back over to your. Is this your first love? Is this technically?
Technically, yes. I love blue yellow in set 1.
Okay, we're over.
Obviously, this is an insanely different deck than it was in set 1.
Even insanely different than last set, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I do think there's enough cool things. I think there's probably one of the most one of the grossest openers that you could probably do in Lorcana, being the whole daisy ramp, shift daisy, sing down in New Orleans style of gaming that you could do. I don't know if that's good. It's probably not super consistent.
It sounds fun though.
It does sound fun, and I think there's like I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool stuff it can be doing.
Let me ask you this: is there a deck that got better this set than this did? I mean, I'm not saying it's the best by any means, but I'm saying it might have been, bottom of the barrel to like this actually might like be playable now.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be playable. I think it probably is playable.
So I think I've tried to build it like 2 different iterations, and the problem I was running into was just like the lack of draw still. Like where are we getting our cards from?
I mean,
then-
yeah, I obviously think that's the biggest problem. I think on paper, at least in my eyes, it's like I'm never actually inking from my hand ever. Like after turn 2, it's like, I'm getting stuff banished, or I'm using like Ludwig to ink himself, or like just something, and so you're not ever like really like depleting your resources that way. If in practice, if it works like that, I don't know, but like in an ideal world, I think that's probably what you're trying to do. But who knows?
Yeah, I really like those colors, and I mean I thought they definitely got a lot of new cards, and so I was excited to play with it, but I don't really see how it wins the game. It's like if it's aggro, that I think that's fair because I think that's probably the style I would try first, but I also don't know where like it runs out of cards too. I don't know. I'm interested to see how people their first like wave of this deck.
All right, Devin, where are we at on this one? You get our final call here.
I kind of want to say like top of C, bottom of B.
Yeah,
Bottom of B if I'm being really optimistic about it.
That's where my head was, so I can't argue with that.
I will be. That's interesting. I will be excited if it's that good. Like if it.
I think the other thing that I think that this has that people aren't giving it credit for yet is it might honestly have one of the best removal suites in the game. You have access to a bunch of support plus World's Greatest Criminal Mind. You have access to Hades. You have access to the Minnie Mouse, which actually
That's like
might
the worst
be decent
removal
now.
suite, though, isn't it?
No, I think
Of like,
you have
look at all the decks in front of it. What? How is it better than any of that?
Sure, steel is always going to be steel, but I think comparatively to just like the overall like number of cards that you have the new Amber action that just banishes any evasive character, which again I think that's very meta dependent on if it's good or not, but it's there and it draws a card. You talked about not drawing cards, so we're going to draw a card that way. We have Circle of Life if we want to circle stuff back into play like Hades. I think there's just options to be very creative. Again, what it ends up looking like, I don't know, but I think it's like the most interesting, like thought-provoking one out of the set for me.
Yeah. Minnie Mouse Musketeer would have loved this meta.
Minnie Mouse Musketeer would have loved this meta. That's why they probably didn't reprint her.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, last color combo, Amber Amethyst. Is there anything here at all? Or is this just another bad one?
I
I'd
don't
probably
know.
lean D.
I would say it's probably the worst color pairing right now.
I think so
Ooh,
too.
Yeah, that's easy then. I mean, none of us have any affinity to it, so I think we can all just say, yeah, it's bad and move on with our lives, huh?
But the Horn King and the Cauldron.
You're so right.
Okay, for the audio listeners out there, quick recap. We have Purple Steel as the lone S deck. A tier, we have Blurple, Blue Steel, and Green Blue. So a very consistent Sapphire theme there. In A minus tier, which we created halfway through, so we're very on the point with this, is Amber Steel, Emerald Steel, and Green, or not Emerald Steel. Well, Emerald Steel is on there, but Amber Emerald. So a lot of green, a lot of steel. B tier, we have Emerald Amethyst, Ruby Steel, and Amber Sapphire. C tier, Ruby Sapphire, Ruby Amethyst. D tier, Ruby Emerald, Ruby Amber, and Amber Amethyst. So Ruby living at the bottom half, Sapphire living at the top half.
Steel's also living on the top half.
Steel is very much in the top half as well. Yeah, steel, and what do you think are the best colors? We'll end with this. What are the best just colors right now? Give me your top 3.
Wait, before we do that,
Go ahead.
Can we talk about the distribution of the chart
Oh
still a
yeah,
little
it's
bit?
all very even.
Well, I mean, like you said, like the steel's at the top, and then the lowest steel deck is the ruby. It's the one paired with ruby,
Sure.
and then all the ruby decks are in
It,
the bottom.
lower than the steel one. That's a very good call out.
Yeah, like the only blue deck that's low, that low is the ruby blue deck.
Yeah.
All the green decks are at B or above, except for the
Except for the
emerald
ruby
ruby deck.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And also the one of the only, like, the amber decks are getting pulled up by the other broken colors, which is
Sure.
I think interesting. So I think you can kind of see it's like the decks with the best shell, like, is obviously like the blue deck and the green deck and the steel deck, and I guess amethyst also, but I don't know. I think it's interesting the way that plays out.
So those are you saying those are your three best: emerald, sapphire, and steel?
I think number one for me is definitely sapphire. I think.
Okay.
I think so too. I think Sapphire is. I mean, Ace has got so many cool tools this set.
Devin.
My top three would probably be Amethyst, Steel, and Sapphire.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's hard to leave emerald out, but I think
I
that would
was about
probably
to
be
say,
mine too.
It's really, that's hard leaving the emerald out of there. Maybe it's not sapphire. Maybe it's.
I think that when the meta becomes a little bit more solved, Amber and Emerald will probably be able to be valued a little bit more. I think they're just going to rely on a lot more disruptive pieces, and they're only like, I think Mowgli is going to be a very good card this set, but we just don't know, like, how everything's going to shape out.
Imagine, I don't remember who I said this to, but imagine you're playing a blue deck on the play and you Mowgli on 2 and you hit their only ramp card, which is Sail, and then they have nothing to do. Like, imagine playing Blurple on the play and you just like Mowgli and then hit their Sail. It's like, what is Blurple doing? Like, you might have just won the game on the spot.
I did that to Matthew yesterday with a Ludwig.
You did do that.
See?
But imagine playing Mowgli, hitting nothing, and then you played a bad 1-drop for 2.
I mean, that's
these things happen.
Yeah.
You live and learn. Once you know the matchup, maybe you don't play it on 2 if it's not Blurple. But anyways, no, you're right. I think the distribution overall is really good. I feel really good about this. Again, this is where we live today. Obviously, as the meta progresses and as the set goes on, things are very fluid and will most likely change. But this is definitely where I think our focus will be for the first couple weeks, going into the Sharp tournament, like we talked about, and going into some of the other potential like CCQs and other tournaments before Richmond, which is the DLC for here in January for this set. So I think that's where we'll end this one. Any final thoughts from anybody before we get out of here?
Really looking forward to the meta.
Same.
I think Whispers is going to be a fun time.
Same.
I'm really looking forward to this 10K and trying to like break the meta and find something new and seeing how many different people show up with new, different, fun decks. And I think it's just going to be a really fun tournament.
Yep.
Did we mention the 10K?
Yeah,
we did.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep. Didn't do it at the very top of the episode like I tried to do, but talked about it a few minutes into it. Yeah, so shout out Sharp, shout out 10K. Will be, I'm pretty sure basically everybody from Inkfinity will be there. If not everybody for sure. We have one member that just had a kid like 3 weeks ago, and so they very well might not be here. But everybody else, I imagine, probably will be. And with that, I guess that's it. If you want to now speak now, forever hold your peace.
Wash your hands.
I like that. That's good. We're going into winter and school bug seasons. That's good advice.
Blue red might be good.
No, nothing else. We'll end it on that. See everybody next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.